Smith, what do you have to say? What do you have to say about the protest, Mr. Smith? Mr. Smith, stop walking away. Where are you going?
This is Daniel Smith, and he caused this to happen. And he got number 3 on trending. And as the year 11 student at Pimlico Academy, I'll explain everything that was happening on that day, as there's a lot to unpack. Before we get into what actually happened, I believe it's best to go through the context first, and trust me, the context is really important to the story. So, as I've said before, this is Daniel Smith. He's the new head teacher at Pimlico Academy and has been since September. And since then, the school has been gradually going downhill due to some of the dumbest rules I've ever heard of. Some of these rules include, but not limited to, limiting hairstyles and headscarves, which are 2 very important topics I'll get into later. Not being allowed to have hoodies in school, which before we weren't allowed to wear them, but now you just get them taken away just for holding them. Starting from this year, 6th form had to wear uniform or smart clothing, which just makes no sense because they weren't supposed to do that before, and they just added that rule now for no reason. Before, during break time, the school cafeteria opened up so we could come in and buy food. That doesn't happen anymore, and this leads into the next problem that the school had. We weren't allowed to eat during break. At the start of the year, someone in my year got excluded or suspended for eating a sandwich during break, which, fortunately though, that rule doesn't exist anymore, and now we're allowed to bring in our own food, which I don't know why that wasn't there in the first place, but whatever, man. The same person also wanted to start a protest which foreshadowed some pretty interesting events. Oh yeah, we had to cut the kicker's tag off for shoes. I forgot to mention that rule's just dumb. Let's talk about this lengthy piece of text. These are all screenshots from a TikTok, and I can't be bothered to find the original videos, so here's the original user if you want to find it. Anyways, this masterpiece of an essay goes through some of the school's biggest problems, one of them including this was a thing I didn't even know was a problem in the school, but I'm just dumb for thinking that since it could basically happen anywhere. Following the case of Sarah Everard, you think that the school would start to care more about sexual assault cases around the schools since it's supposed to be a safe environment, but nah. In 6th form alone, and let's not imagine what's going on in the other years, there's been 3 cases of sexual assault. What's even worse is that for one of the cases mentioned, the school's solution to that was, and I quote, putting the victim of sexual assault in the same room as her offender in the hopes of having a constructive conversation. I'd like to repeat that the students are supposed to feel safe at school, and they're putting a victim of sexual assault in the same room as their offender. This is a pretty big one. It's also the reason why everyone's calling Daniel Smith a racist. Every year in the school, we would usually celebrate Black History Month. Not this year though. And it's even worse because last year was when the George Floyd incident happened. So to just completely ignore it is just really dumb. So if you're wondering why everyone's calling Daniel Smith a racist, this is a pretty big pointer as to why. Alright, I think this was just a breaking point for everyone. Not only is the school uniform really expensive for no reason, which I mean that's always been a problem, so I don't care. The students' hairstyles and headscarves were severely limited, and that just made everyone upset. Let's talk about the headscarves first. The fact that the school's telling Islamic girls how to wear their headscarves is just very dumb and extremely insensitive to their religion. Not only that, but there was a rule saying that they could only wear blue and black headscarves, which who cares about the color that they wear? I also want to talk about the school's policy on hairstyle, which, really? Come on man, you're really gonna make a policy on growing hair? So yeah, these 3 problems basically just fueled the fire for a protest, and soon enough, people were sharing this image around. In short, people were going to sit on the school astro and not go up to class to send a message, and at first I thought it was dumb, but as you'll soon see that was not the case. Daniel Smith actually found out about the protest and randomly scheduled an assembly the day before to encourage people not to go to the protest. Instead though, that just made everyone even more angry, and the next thing you know, March 31st, 2021, the end of all ends, and I feel obliged to share this with you again. If I'm gonna be honest though, only like the first 2 hours of school were actually the protest. We were chanting stuff like I don't really have anything else to say. The rest of the day just felt like break time and we weren't really doing anything. However, we did finish school earlier than usual and a few emails were sent to our parents. And hey, we made it to the news. So, what did Daniel Smith have to say about the protests? So, as I've just mentioned, a few emails were sent to our parents, one of them being the updated uniform policy rules where they crossed out a majority of the hairstyles and headscarf sections, which I guess that's a step in the right direction. Daniel Smith also made an apology and I could not be bothered to read all of that. Part of me feels like he was being sincere, but the rest remembers this tweet. I feel like I should mention this too. The mother of that girl I mentioned before who got excluded for eating a sandwich used to be a teacher at the school and she was actually invited to talk about the protests on Good Morning Britain. But the school paid her to be quiet. And as far as I know, that's everything. I find this to be very funny because the school actually had another protest in 2007. So this definitely isn't the first time of something like this happening. And who's to say it won't happen again? Thank you so much for watching this video. I haven't really made a video like this before and I haven't been posting a lot recently. But this event was just something I could not leave uncovered. I'd like to give a huge thanks to these people for sending in their videos of the protests. I forgot to charge my phone before school, therefore I couldn't record for that long. So it was nice that you guys were able to help out by sending in your videos of the protests. And yeah, that's the end of the video, see ya.